flying bomb over London. For 80 days, beginning 16th June, British defenses faced an average of 100 robots a day. Out of the 8,000 bombs launched by the Nazis, 2,300 reached targets within Britain. Thousands of the buzz bombs, flying at 350 to 400 miles per hour, were brought down by the combination of fast fighter planes, barrage balloons, and anti-aircraft guns. In November 1943, air reconnaissance revealed 100 launching sites stretching from Calais to Cherbourg. Extensive bombings destroyed the elaborate emplacements. The Nazis hastily constructed new firing points, simplified but thoroughly camouflaged. Trees draped with netting and portable evergreens were among the evidence of deception found at a wrecked robot launching station about 10 miles north of Rouen. On a concrete blockhouse, possibly for storing bombs, was a map of the British Isles. The floors of many of the structures were fitted with rails. Apparently, the Germans employed this rail line to speed the movement of the flying bombs from storage points to the launching ways. The catapult arrangement indicated the employment of rockets electrically fired. From here, the buzz bombs were sent as far as 250 to 300 miles. Component parts of the launching platforms were still intact, despite obvious enemy attempts to destroy as much as possible before fleeing the area. These parts were identified as possibly being fins for the bombs. The light alloy nose caps and braces. When mounted, the nose contained the compass. Broken sections of the flying bomb were scattered throughout the area. About a mile away, a church steeple was used for observation and flight control. Almost all the sites in France were oriented in the direction of London. A number of duds fell in fields, the result of improper launching or faulty manufacture. A warhead which contained approximately 2,000 pounds of explosive. Compressed air inside spherical bottles kept the gyros spinning and substituted for a fuel pump, forcing gasoline into the jet engine. A tubular jet propulsion unit was mounted above the tail. The buzz bomb had to be fully regulated before the takeoff. With the mounting Allied victories along the Channel coast has come a gradual dwindling of the flying bomb attacks. However, there is no immediate guarantee that the menace has been fully eliminated. French artillery pounds Toulon prior to the fall of the naval base, 26th August. Heavy naval and aerial bombardment had softened the port area. In the harbor lies the remains of the French fleet. The ships were scuttled by their crews on November 27, 1942, when the Germans descended on Toulon after Allied invasion of North Africa. Toulon was the scene of fanatical Nazi resistance. The giant French battleship Dunkirk. French port engineers report that much of the fleet must be considered a total loss. 27 miles west is Marseille, second city and greatest port of France, which fell on D+8. Poilus battled their way into Marseille against light resistance. Infantrymen attacked Germans entrenched in Notre-Dame de la Garde, a famous old church above the city. It's one of the siege locations that held out after the fall of the city had been officially announced. Hostilities having ceased, a French priest greets the Poilus outside the basilica. Wreckage following the cleanup of last-ditch defenders. On the night of 27th August, the Nazis surrendered Fort St. Nicholas. Troops of a French division took this strong point in the Port District. Day Parade, 29th August. Crowds cheer the French troops and their commander, General Jean de Lattre de Tassigny. Flying fortresses of the 15th Air Force arrive at a Bucharest airport to evacuate more than 1,000 repatriated U.S. flyers. These airmen, mostly Americans, were released by the Romanian government immediately after the country's capitulation to the Russians, 23rd August. More than 3,000 Allied airmen were downed in Romania in 13 months of raids. 2/3 had been killed in combat. Members of the B-17 crews say goodbye to Russian soldiers who had occupied the airport. "38 planes transported the evacuees. Flyers take with them memories of many air battles to knock out Hitler's former oil sources at Ploiest. Enemy flak over Ploiest was considered by the men as the heaviest in the world." Arriving at an Italian air base. Recounting experiences, one of which was the attack of 11th August, when men flew less than 200 feet above their target. Canadian First Army forces on the extreme left flank of the 200-mile-long Allied line in France pushed toward the medieval city of Rouen to establish a bridgehead across the Seine. Entering Rouen 31st August, capture of the city eliminated Rouen as a takeoff area for robot bombs. Allied air raids took a heavy toll of enemy equipment, heightening the immobility of retreating Nazi columns. On 1st September, the Canadians continue their advance, taking Dieppe, scene of the bloody test raid of August 19, 1942, and one-time symbol of Germany's strength along the Atlantic Wall. First to enter Dieppe were battalions of the same Canadian division that stormed the beaches in 42, supported by British commandos and small units of American Rangers and French. A cemetery on a hill behind Dieppe, where more than 800 Canadians killed on the 19th August raid are buried. Part of the Atlantic Wall just south of the Seine, abandoned by the Germans as the Canadian First Army rolled the Nazis back along the French Channel coast. Defending enemy forces retreated without a fight, leaving an array of useless obstacles and fortifications, once characterized by Nazi propagandists as invasion-proof. Buildings along the beaches were transformed into strong points by concreting doors and windows facing the sea. Camouflaged pillboxes, given the aspect of beach cottages. Designed to draw fire away from actual strong points, a beach house is camouflaged to look like a pillbox. A wooden gun adds to the deception. More anti-invasion defenses further along the coast. A range board gives sketches of houses, beach details, and distances covered by guns. Still another point along the Atlantic Wall taken by the Canadian Army. These fortifications were seized from the rear as the Canadians advanced to the mouth of the Seine across the bay from Le Havre.